honey. What you doing on the roof?
I'm taking a bathroom break. Hey, greetings from Fairfield. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new to joining us, I'm Rich.
And I'm Kendra.
And we're restoring this cool Victorian house. And this week, we're back in the bathroom. And so if you've been following our channel, you might remember that the bathroom flooded at Christmas.
Oh, fudge. Only I didn't say fudge.
Sidestepped and started working in the foyer there while we were waiting for the wallpaper in here. And that's a whole different story, and we'll get to that in a minute. But we did, we got the floor ripped up, and we got working on the tile work, which is behind you. So back over here, tile. We got purple tile. When we moved in, we thought we had white tile. Turns out, when I was doing some work underneath the sink, doing some plumbing, we found scratches down in the tile. And actually, it was just a paint. They had painted these. And fabulous job, too, by the way, because you couldn't tell. We didn't know. And so it wasn't until I discovered that, and, we got scratches in the wood and the doors. And that we had one of those pull-down blinds, like what we showed you in the foyer last week. It was just all shredded from cats, covered in cat hair. So that's gone. And stripped all the paint off. We didn't even film it because everything went so smooth. So yeah, I just used a citrus strip here because I didn't want to use a heat gun and crack the tile or, soften up the grout or loosen up that glue. So I just used the citrus strip on this. Took a little longer, but it did the job. It actually came off pretty quick and easy. Clearly, this is not 1896. And one of the things we ask ourselves the most is when we start a new project, whether or not it's been here, how long has it been here? Has it been here longer than it hadn't been? And so in this particular case, though we're not 100% sure when it was put in, and hopefully we're going to find that out today. We do have a couple of clues. We know it was here prior to 1960 and that it had bright yellow carpet in here. And so when the previous family had died and sold the house, we knew it was already here. And there's a house just 4 doors down that we got to tour a few weeks back, and they have the exact tile in their bathroom with a matching purple sink. Their house was built in 1927, and they are positive it was original. Did a little more research online and found that it was actually quite popular in the 1920s and 30s during the Art Deco style, generally accented with black. And so we don't find any black here. We think this was probably put in around the 1930s, which certainly put it here longer than it had been, than not been. And so we're sure we're keeping it because, well, it turns out that's Miss Kendra's favorite color. We got the medicine cabinet pulled off and the marble backsplash, I got that taken off. Nothing too exciting, but we'll cut to a quick time lapse there and to show you what that looked like before we got started in here. we got these little spacers in here. I already popped one off. I'm hoping we can find manufacturer on the back of these. And so that one just fell off. But we're gonna take these others off, and hopefully we can determine. Whoa, wow, that came off easy. Took off a little plaster with it. Okay. Well, we have a couple more letters to work with. We only saw 2 letters on the last one. I don't know if you can see that. It starts with a T. T-I, so it probably says tile. E-S. We got a couple of letters to work with. Here's a mark, maker's mark here. Looks like an H6. Made in the USA. So, I don't know. I don't know how hard that's going to be to get off of there. See more, but maybe they'll have some glue in some different spots. Let's see what we got. Here it comes. I want to be careful because I don't want to bust up that plaster too much. And these tiles have to go back because they're spacers for the marble. That took off a whole big chunk of plaster.
Oh no.
Oh no. That's a bummer. We'll have to glue that. Can't read nothing there. Can't read nothing there. It's all covered up. Man, and that glue is tough stuff. I had too much glue on that. All right, we'll come back to that one. Let's try another one. Ta-da! Come on. Ta-da! Hey, I think we got one.
Wanna win the chicken then?
Yeah, the last one I pulled off. They're made by Tile Crest. All right, well, there we go. The last figures would be the last one I pull off. Tile Crest. All right, so let's do a little search on Tile Crest, see what we come up with. So maybe we'll get closer to narrowing down the date of this. But like I said, we're keeping the purple tile, so we just got to figure out, have to clean all this up again. And hopefully we can find some matching tile. Now that we know our make, we match up the color, because I'm sure eBay or Etsy or some of those lines can, online sources, we might be able to find this. Or we have architectural salvage that we've been wanting to check out. So hopefully for next week's video, we'll go check out some architectural salvage, see if we can't find us a new medicine cabinet and matching tile. That would be pretty cool. Now, let's talk about this story. This is a crazy story because around Christmas, when we started figuring out that this is what we're going to need to do, first started looking for wallpaper and finding colors to go with lavender, not the easiest thing to do. So we have no idea what was here before, but I did find some very small, I don't know if I kept them. I did. We found some really small fragments of wallpaper. It's breaking apart. It's fragile. This is old, which tells me that that lavender tile is pretty old too. I was picking out small pieces of lavender behind the wood trim in old wallpaper. Now, there's not enough of this to know if this was part of a color or part of if there was any pattern involved, but it's about slightly shade lighter than that. So that's what they had for color in here. So we knew whatever wallpaper we had, whatever wallpaper we found, needed to have some of this lavender in it with maybe some yellows and greens. That would still look nice without being, way too much purple. Of course, Kendra would say,
There's no such thing as too much purple.
and Kendra would say with a little more enthusiasm,
There's no such thing as too much purple.
there we go. And the floral arrangement, though I'm not a big fan on doing everything in flowers, but it just keeps working that way since, well, we own a Victorian house. But this, it's kind of fun. Funny because, I don't know, you might remember this, the entrance here. Oh, it's raining. I don't want to go outside in the rain. the conservatory, this is where the conservatory was. So this, the half bath off the master bedroom, was also the entrance to the conservatory. And so, I don't know, kind of makes sense. Kind of makes sense. And so, but this was not easy to track down. I started searching wallpapers online to find something similar, and came with this one, listed as a metallic. So we got metallic golds in here. It was listed as lilac in color. And these colors, these purples, are an exact match to this. And so, really dig it. But to get this, you wouldn't believe what we had to go to get this. I ordered three or four samples from different online sources to get a sample of this paper. And every single one of them canceled my order, because some places were charging $5, $10. I think one sample was even going to be $20. Every single order got canceled because the paper had been discontinued. And we were about to give up when I found a seller on eBay that had some left over in stock, because it turns out the pattern had been discontinued. I ordered a full roll since he didn't offer samples, so that was a pricey sample. And after about 2 weeks, I started checking the tracking number, and turns out it got lost in the mail. He had shipped it. It made it about 2 hours north of where he was located, and it just sat in the distribution center at the post office for
Almost a month.
oh, well, almost a month. Yeah, I mean, it was 2 weeks before I contacted him, and seller apologized and sent me out a replacement immediately and sent that one UPS. And so that one showed up about a week later. And so while during that whole month, 2 months time, that was all through the month of January and February, getting the samples canceled and then finally getting this roll, we decided just to start working in the foyer because, well, we needed a project, and you know, if we don't have a project, then you got nothing to watch. And so we switched to foyer. This finally showed up. When Kinder came in last week's video, that missing roll had been over a month, had shown up that day. And the tracking number still hadn't been updated. Now the replacement had come in a week prior to that, so we did have that already. But the second roll finally showed up. I do believe, winner, winner, chicken dinner. We got another project. There you have it. Oh, it's falling.
Oh no! Oh no!
You gotta take it down anyway. Because before we put the wallpaper up, which we could do that before this, right? So we gotta do that. Before we do this, we gotta do this. All the woodwork in here has been painted. So we gotta get paint off this cabinet and paint off the window casings, because it doesn't matter if we get stripper on the floor, since we gotta pull the floor up. This is just, we pulled the linoleum up, or the vinyl flooring that we had here. This is just a plywood top here. Yeah, and the baseboards, you get those all cleaned up. So we're gonna do stripping off the radiator. We're gonna get all this paint stripped off before we can do the wallpaper. And so, starting with this, we're gonna do this. Now we were asked if this was original, this original built-in cabinet. We weren't sure. I popped the latch off and I didn't find any manufacturer on there, so I have no idea. But the hardware matches hardware we have down in the kitchen. Got a nice spring load to it. Like this, but there's no date or mark on it at all. No manufacturer. I took the whole thing apart and cleaned it, so it works really good. But what I did find, and I can safely say it is original, because we got matching hinges on this too. How about that? We know those are original because those match every door in the house. All right, well, I guess that'll about do it for this week's video. And so, just a quick update. We did a little search on tile crest, and it turns out that tile was a little more 1950s than 1930s. And so, we ordered some stuff that we unexpectedly found on eBay, and hopefully, with any luck, and the post office does their job, we'll be able to show you that next week's video.